When a content creator experiences a large amount of growth in a short time, it is inevitable that they cannot maintain this growth for more than a few weeks at most. Especially so if said creator's content is nothing of innate value or personality. The decline will be as fast as the uprise. However, this typically only applies to channels that make their entire content surrounding what is trending at the time. And this descent is only one that consists of numbers and analytics and really has nothing to do with said creator's content or be it mental stability. With that being said, falling from grace is a large factor in many of the videos on this channel, of the storytelling and analysis nature to be specific, such as our slimy scaly friend or our Newgrounds artist turned far-right white nationalist. Deteriorating from large levels of success is something that is not only done frequently, but also in a variety of ways. For one, you have been deplorable, committing an act that has your entire community and others turn their backs on you, and you have been burned at the stake. Typically, rightfully so. The other can even intermingle with the previously mentioned, which is lying. Lying in general, or about a certain malicious act or deed, often gets you similar treatment as committing an act of degeneracy or deplorability. Finally, falling off the deep end. Having everything, every little mistake, mishap, lie, act, and general action boil up to one point before an inevitable downfall and descent. Mentally, physically, and socially. With all of those, individually, being different ways one can descend greatly in their careers and in life in general, with all of them being verily morally unjustifiable and generally bad. What if I were to tell you there was a certain web animator that portrayed and signified every single last one of the three previous factors to a point? The man being presented today has displayed every ounce of possible deplorability, deceit, and total borderline insanity. I present to you the degeneracy, dishonesty, and derangement of James Bear. James Bear, born on the 6th of July 1999, previously known as Doodle Jam. James Bear is a vaguely prolific YouTube animator, his YouTube debut being on October 14th, 2014 with a multi-part animated short, Jam World. Jam World took an innate inspiration from the animated series Eddsworld, so much so that the characters were practically the exact same as those in the aforementioned series. However, I'd argue it would be no fault of James, as he was just 15 at this time. Pretty ironic, as you'll see later down the line. As kids are typically inspired by the media they surround themselves with, it would be no surprise, however, that he received criticism for this series and ended up discontinuing it altogether. Initially, after the end of Jam World, James moreover centralized his content around fan animations and parodies. This streak of videos would only predecess the style of animations which would garner him the most attention, his James and Claire series. James and Claire isn't an actual titled series, or at least in my opinion it isn't, as a lot of the animations that consist of these two characters are not titled as such, even if others are. I like to believe they all fall under the same umbrella. These mostly consisted of silly animations with dry humor, portraying James and his girlfriend, Yuno Clarissa. Yuno Clarissa is also an artist who dated James, a very important figure in James's life, and subsequently his downfall. But that's for later. James didn't reach a real break until November of 2019, with his NNN animations, which portray his girlfriend in a certain manner, which will be extremely ironic considering later events regarding James's faith in Claire to be, well, faithful. James gained 100,000 subscribers in upwards of a month, and the rest is history as he continued to animate skits with his girlfriend. March 10th, 2022. Certainly the day Rome fell, or at least the Colosseum of YouTube content and respect or good grace for one animator fell. User Lavelo Does Art on Twitter posted a thread that reads, "Friendly reminder that this guy molested his 9-year-old sister, admitted he did publicly due to depression at the time, then removed everything relating to it once it died down. The Mega Bible document showcasing almost everything relating to James. One final thing, he started when he was 13, she was 9, and they kept at it till he was 15 or 16 and she was 11 or 12. According to, we've been doing it between 2015 and 2016. It was never once, never twice, multiple times for years. That's all." The former would be a document of 182 pages. If you are under the impression that I will be dissecting every nook and cranny of this document in this video, you are sorely mistaken. I do give credit where credit is due. It is extremely difficult to even manufacture a document that long. Before I get into the credible parts of this document, I'd prefer to be totally unbiased in my telling of this story. So I think it's only fair if I share some thoughts about a certain area of this document in particular that seems like padding and totally unjust accusations. There is an entire section on James's fetishes, only really one of them being a quote-unquote fetish. To demonstrate how totally ridiculous this section is, we can refer to page 132, which states, "My favorite, insert heart emoji. Oh yes, James, having a big arm growing on you is your favorite. You even added a heart next to it. I guess you really love that big arm, don't you, you creep? I'm not sure if this is supposed to be cute, or he really just is scared because he just f***ed up. I mean, he is already f***ed up. His life is f***ing worthless. Oh, you gotta love how he even added the 666 and his name on his arm. Yes, you will notice 666, 6, or 69 a lot. Probably his favorite number. I wonder why he loves the number 69 so much. Probably because of what he used to do to someone. Fucking hell, James. Go to hell." Funnily enough, this is not the 666 or even a 69. It is actually just a curse mark from Naruto, which coincidentally warps the shape and size of Sasuke's arm, not inferring and directly admitting to things I will mention momentarily. As for this section, I personally believe there is a large language barrier with the person who wrote this, as they might not fully understand the concept of fetishes. Also, their speech patterns and grammar isn't great. A lot of this document is petty dating drama, and James essentially feeling sorry for himself throughout the latter part of his teenage years. In messages with a user who was dating his current girlfriend, or not really, he gave backhanded messaging and was essentially preying on the downfall of a relationship to one of the parties in it. Did I mention, this is terribly hard to read because James types like he's in a role-playing Discord server, constantly using ellipses and emojis and italics. It's extremely embarrassing for even a 16 to 18-year-old. James had a large contingency of jealousy for a particular user who was dating Clarissa in the early months of 2016. It is so obviously demonstrated in their messages that the receiver picked it up within 9 messages with James. Some of these messages include, "Claire, I'm talking about her. Never mind. You're lucky. I just suck at life. You said you had a rough day. Well, at least someone you love could at least cheer you up." Whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you jealous or upset, or do you have feelings for Clarissa? I didn't know. You were talking about her. No, never mind. Having another shitty day. And I don't know. I don't know how to feel anymore. In a conversation referencing his new supposed crush, he says this. "But I don't know, I'm just getting a negative feeling, sad face. I've had that feeling before. Well, I feel like Michaela doesn't like me, because I know her fanboys likes her. And about that whole Claire thing before, I really liked Claire before. I didn't know at first that you were dating her. I was hurt while she told me." Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Firstly, fanboys, that is just a fan. Don't worry, you can still talk to her. Secondly, I'm really sorry to hear about that Clarissa thing. It's okay. It's not like anyone likes me anyways. I deserve this for the things I did. And Claire's lucky. Finally, after cheering up slightly, he drops this zinger. "Thanks, you. Heh. Yeah, lucky you and Claire are dating. I know I complain about it, but, like, you know, not complain, talk about it, but sighs. Sorry. Don't worry, it's fine. I love talking to you, and your art always impresses me and Clarissa. Sighs sadly, but for some reason, I have a thing. Never mind. Just tell me. Pats your head. You can talk to me about anything. Don't worry, James. I have a thing for Clarissa? Looks down. Aw, James. Pat. Don't worry, you can still talk to her and even draw her. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You could just draw Clarissa or her OC. Her drawing is so cute. Maybe I'll draw her ovo and draw her naked. JK, I'm sorry. If you'd like to read this document for yourself, be warned it is longer than you may think it sounds. However, it is linked in the description. Now, for the real meat and potatoes of the alleged in this document. A message marked to be on the 25th of April 2016 reads, "It all began in February 2013, when I began to get a little friend called depression. I didn't know at the time, and I did something terrible. I had sex with my sister, which at the time, I was 13 and she was 9. If it makes you feel better, I'm suffering emotionally, and I did it because of depression. Someone told me that depression can't make you do things, and we've been doing it till between 2015 and 2016, and I know it's still affecting me. In 2014, I got beat up outside in the cold winter night, and I got sick. That sickness could have killed me. And in 2015, I'd gotten sick again, but while I was sick, I cried myself to sleep, and I began to lose friends. My depression kept getting to me. My dad emotionally abused me too. So, January 23rd, 2016, I began to feel like shit, and I nearly took my own life, but I didn't, and went to sleep. My friend Alex, I told him on that day that I should, and forgot to tell him I'm going to sleep, got worried, and phoned the RCMP, and they took me to the hospital, and they were checking on me to see if I'm okay, but I was. So yeah, I'd gotten sick again, but I'm okay. So yeah, that's what happened. But don't tell anyone, by the way. To truly add the final touch onto the cesspit of degeneracy in this message, he adds 3 totally unrelated, inappropriate emoticons to really give us the impression of his struggle. There is a discussion to be had about 13 and 9, as neither of them are anywhere near old enough to understand sexual intimacy. However, with that being said, the problem arises when James continues to do it to the maximum age of 16, minimum 15. The perfect way to sum up this message is the theme of disgust. And let it be known, the entire community, and the entire internet as a whole, shared the exact same sentiment.
And now, from the Hollywood Palace, here is your host, Dean Martin!
2 years prior to the releasing of the Twitter thread that initially exploded the situation, James had already formally responded in the form of a Twitter post, which read, "With what's being brought up about me, I have to admit about the sister thing. It did happen, but only once, when we were just kids, and it was consensual. Anything else about me being a pedophile or on minors is not true whatsoever. Those messages are over 4 years old to a 13-year-old while I was only 16 years old myself. Therefore, I was a minor myself. I made a mistake when I was a kid, and I didn't know it was bad, but those mistakes I made back all those years ago don't define who I am today. I'm a completely different person. I will be taking a break since the threats and false accusations have taken a huge toll on Claire and I's mental health. So yeah, I just wanted to clear the air on that front." However, this entirely contradicts the message he originally sent, which proposes one of 2 options. Either he A, lied back then about having intercourse with his 9-year-old sister multiple times, which would give him no good grace or leeway in a conversation he was having in which he wanted to be moreover pitied rather than hated, or B, was telling the truth then and is lying now. Either way, it's not a fantastic look, as the proof is in the pudding, a message he self-admittedly sent. However, he does not elaborate on this contradiction whatsoever. The community was outraged. How could such a loved, seemingly unproblematic animator turn out to be such a monster? And to lie during or after the fact only enrages them further. At the drop of a hat, videos were pumped out by commentary channels trying to publicize and criticize James's situation. Videos from the likes of Tamimi, Optimus, Turkey Tom, Repzilla, and even yours truly were produced within the following weeks of the situation, made with disgust and shock at the situation and James's lackluster response. One day after the initial Twitter thread by Layla was released, James had some wise words of wisdom to share on his Twitter platform and attempts to respond to the claims made. My response for the 5th and final time. First of all, I would like to apologize to those who are upset and disgusted by some of the claims that are being thrown at me, by what appears to be a premeditated attack on me as a person. Second, I'm ashamed for what occurred in my past, and I'm working towards being a better human being. However, the claim of me being a therapist and a is not true. The amount of harassment and threats I've been receiving because of this is astronomical. Third, about my past, as much as it pains me to confront it, my past was never meant to be public knowledge, and was leaked 5 years ago by a person who hated my guts for ridiculous reasons, which is why that document exists. It was a childish attempt to try and make me break up with someone they liked and wanted back. As time went on, and after dealing with the situation on multiple occasions within the last 5 years of my life, I'm being labeled as a monster yet again, and I'm forced to respond to these people. My past, again, was never meant for anyone to hear, and was a sick, twisted ploy to make me look bad, when really these people, and including you reading this, don't know my full story. You don't know my personal life, you don't know me personally, and you will never get to know, because I don't need to tell you. I don't owe you any more attention, because I'm trying to be a better human being each passing day, and again, those who have ill will against me, I'm sorry. I'm flawed, just like everyone else. This will be my fifth and final response to all of this. I'm tired of having to deal with it once again, and I want to move on with my life. The vagueness of this response really rubs me the wrong way, when those who don't give context to a situation they are in while responding to it are often just afraid that the people unaware of the situation will figure out what they did, which is why they just respond vaguely and hope that they are taken at face value with no further research. James claims this to be a premeditated attack on his character and public image, with no evidence to back that, and as we see further on, is likely just another paranoid delusion. The absolute audacity and gall to say that you are flawed like everyone else is ridiculous. Newsflash, I forget to do a favor, or I break. I don't fuck my 9-year-old sister. This response would garner a lot of criticism, rightfully so, as the response itself is really just words without value and still continually does not address the blatant contradiction in his original story and what he claims to be true now.
The beginning has just begun when the sun...
June 3rd, 2022. James posted onto the James Bear YouTube channel with a video titled My Final Response. This video restates most of the ideas he has portrayed in his other responses priorly to the entire situation. In this video, however, he excuses the same contradiction he has been avoiding for the past 2 years with the idea that it was a social experiment. No, I'm not kidding.
I started telling my friends about it when I was 14 years old. Some of them told my story to others to try and embarrass me. After this happened, I've dramatized details when retelling the story. I changed certain parts because I wanted to see who would and wouldn't gossip about it. So this is why there are some conflicting accounts about what exactly happened. This is what led to some of the misinformation. The incident only happened once, but because of the multiple stories I've told, some people have been misled into believing that it happened multiple times. This isn't true. I would like to personally apologize to everyone who I misled with these alterations to the story. I was being destructive to myself and disingenuous to you. You didn't deserve that. Some of the people who I confided in tried to use my story to take advantage of me and try to hurt me for their own gain.
The only point in this video was that one. The rest was recycled garbage from the rest of his mediocre and lackluster responses. This contradiction, however, would be easily explained by none other than James's sister. On September 19th, 2023, James's alleged sister posted a document in which they digressed that it was not only from 2013 to 2016, but even past that. They demonstrate the evidence that they are in fact James's sister as they show his diamond play button and his desk. And unless they are exceptionally good at Photoshop, it is very likely that this is James's sister. Remember when I said James continued essaying me for years? Well, it was still happening at the height of his popularity when he released his No Nut November animation in late 2019. While you were watching it, I was being essayed. The last attempt of James essaying me was in September of 2020 when he asked me to come near his bed, but I declined, and so I went to another room. I always felt pressured into letting James do these horrible acts to me. Even if I consented to it, no one taught me that shit was wrong, nor could I avoid him. There were even some times where James said he would give me something in favor of letting him essay me. Most of those times, he wouldn't even live up to his promise. I felt like a f***ing prostitute for even doing it in the first place.
I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too
All of what I have talked about at this point has generally been surface information on the front of this situation. I mean, why look anywhere past it, to be fair? Everything you would need to know to form your opinion on James is right before your eyes. However, I believe this is genuinely the most interesting and deranged thought process I have ever seen been documented on the internet for someone who was, at some point, generally a normal presence in their online sphere. For some context, the events mentioned in this document stretch over years of time, yet were only publicly released 2 whole years after James's formal, if you could even call it that, response to the initial situation. On February 5th, 2024, Captain Hugo on Twitter would post, "James Bear has been repeatedly harassing my friend Claire in our close friend group over several months, and we need to speak up about it. We were working on this doc before James's sister released her doc, but we still think it is important to post." Attached to this tweet is a document, the contents of which are not only embarrassing, but also genuinely disturbing. Let's have a look, shall we? To begin, I think it's necessary we go over James and Claire. James and Claire were dating for 9 years respectively, with occasional on and off breaks and such. As we can see from the messages shown in the document publicized by Lalo Does Art, James had had a desperate and almost depressing crush on Claire even in his early teenage years. A true testament as to how their relationship would turn. He would vent about his crush on Claire to her then partner. The nature of their messages would consist of a lot of lashing out and self-wallowing from James. James's emotions would often swing and change at the drop of a hat, going from spiteful and angry to apologetic and clingy. After observing James's general conduct and behavior over years, Claire decided to attempt to distance herself, only to be continually harassed and reached out to by James, even over email. "Why the hell did you block me? What did I do? You're acting very vindictive about all of this and you are not being fair. Why are you hurting me like this? I thought we were going to be friends. Answer me now. What are you plotting this time? Why are you going out of your way to bury me like this?" James continually used alternate accounts to get into touch with Claire even after she attempted to end their relationship. This has not happened once nor twice, yet was a pattern of behavior over years of attempting to break it off once and for all. He attempted to communicate through people that were friends with Claire or even shared a server with her when they were in an argument or on poor terms. He habitually lies to the party about his side to get his way. The document's first section is written by Hugo, where James, on one of his 2 known alternate accounts, The Fool, contacts Hugo during the New Year's. James digresses and vents about his situation to Hugo without directly naming names at first. This being about a server Claire was in that he wasn't, one belonging to an individual known by Hugo, Kosi. He claims that server members were gaslighting his partner and went into a 2-hour call with Hugo to get some thoughts out about the situation. At the time, Hugo responded well by telling him to leave it alone. However, he reflects that James's actions and wording seemed indicative of manipulation on his part and certainly was not the whole truth to the situation. Server goers Chill and Deer, the latter of which is pretty important later on, were in a VC in said server when Hugo joined. Captain Hugo asked about James as it all comes full circle that James was in fact a liar and was attempting to manipulate others to twist the narrative of his situation with Claire. Remember the paranoid delusions that James would portray in his response to the situation regarding his sister? Well, they did not end there. In his distrust of Claire, he essentially forced her into sharing screen caps of who she was talking with, in which he found quote-unquote urgent evidence of Claire being unfaithful. After a few hours of which Deer and Hugo were discussing the matter, James became manic in his messaging to those from Kosi's server. Ironically, in one message he calls Deer controlling and that he is giving Claire orders. Is there something going on right now? Did I do something wrong? Look, I'm really sorry about all of this. I don't know if I did anything wrong or not, but I'm being treated unfairly here by people. Why am I being ignored like this by everyone who is from that server? I'm not even trying to start drama, yet now my ex-girlfriend has been hiding things from me. So apparently I'm being ignored now, lol. That's funny. If I started shit, not my fault. My ex shouldn't have been doing shit in the first place. Kosi and those guys should have known better. I even got proof of Deer giving her orders as it seems. Now I truly wonder who's controlling, because this screams controlling to me. What she said to Deer is a lie. She forgot to include the info about her feeling suicidal and placing that shit onto me. When cross-referencing this with a message James sent to Dear, the irony is baffling, as he claims that Claire is the real manipulator, liar, and you guessed it, controller. Dear, listen, I am genuinely sorry for how I reached out to you before. I only reached out to you to gain the trust of her friends and make sure her friends weren't messing around with her or being weird. And it turns out you're somehow more innocent in this, despite what you told her and such, and I know you don't want to be bothered by me or want to hear a thing from me and you hate me, but please, I really need you to listen to me first on what I've just learned. Claire is not to be trusted in this. She will lie at all costs to avoid any accountability or any kind of scrutiny, but that's not the thing I wanted to say. She's been cheating on me with a friend of yours, which is Kosi, and for a good while too. This isn't an isolated incident since it's the third time she has done this, but I forgave her because I loved her and didn't want to lose her, but now she seems to not give a damn about losing me and she's been hurting my feelings. Left out important details in our arguments she has told you guys. I know Claire has been spreading a lot of lies about me to gain sympathy, especially with our arguments, because of her huge victim mentality that she always had, and it appears that whatever you guys were saying to her was encouraging her bad behavior. Perhaps it was inadvertently. Claire has been doing more harm than she led you guys to believe. She used suicide as a weapon to make me feel bad for her, made baseless accusations that made me ask my counselor on the legitimacy of what I said. She said it wasn't, went on to lie even further about it, and she manipulated my feelings. The reason why she might make bold claims of me being clingy, controlling, or possessive is because of her bad behavior in the past. I often tell her not to be hanging around with shady people or anything, not to keep secrets from me, or straight up hide things from me. She disrespects my feelings and expects me to respect hers. She fully knows well about my feelings about this, yet she goes behind my back and does all these things to make me look bad. Also, if you think I'm lying, I have evidence of her doing this, which I'll send some if you allow me to send a few screenshots. The dates are old, but they've been flirting as close as last month. But now, she blocked me on everything. I guess it's all my fault now, huh? I thought I'd tell her friends because it seems like she really cared about your guys' opinion. I gave Bizarre Joe a rundown of how our argument went. Maybe you can ask them for it. But again, I'm really sorry. I mean, she hasn't really been portraying you as clingy and possessive and controlling when you can just take a look at your guys' chat logs and excuse me for talking out of line. Hugo, viewing the genuine lunacy radiating from James at this point, began a more confrontational approach. No, dude, I think you're the only liar and controller here, and you've been lying to everyone, including yourself. You flip-flop between feeling sorry for yourself and acting like you did nothing wrong. You emotionally abuse Claire, then act like it's her problem when she feels suicidal. You told me you were seeing a therapist, but from the way you've been acting, it's clear you weren't even truthful with them. I'm disappointed in you for not taking a break and working on your mental health, like I suggested, and I'm disappointed in myself for trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to block you like the others, but I will mute you, and I don't want to hear from you until you actually work on yourself like I told you to. Do better. I'm the liar? In what way did I lie? I've told you the truth about all of this, and yet somehow I'm still being held accountable for what? Her lying to me? I haven't done the sorts of what you're accusing me of. Clearly you've been told a lie from whoever is saying this is bullshit. I'm abusive? I know damn well how to tell the difference between emotional abuse and simply getting upset. What makes you believe that's the case? I know for a fact that I'm not at all. This is coming from someone who was abused emotionally. No, you fucking don't, dude. Jesus Christ. How dare you play the, well, I was actually abused myself, so that makes this okay card. Get actual help. Stop trying to contact people in this group. And if I hear anything more about you attempting to get back at Claire, I will not hesitate to publicly call you out on my 335,000 follower account. How in the hell did you make that connection? I was simply saying that I would know the differences since I've been through it myself. What makes you believe that I was okay with being emotionally abusive when I was never like that to begin with? Our friends, at least me and Claire's true friends, would have at least known damn well that I'm nothing of the sorts. You are being lied to by somebody. I came here peacefully and I proved to you that shady shit was going on, and I've been seeking help. Do I have to get documents to legitimately prove I've been to therapy or counseling? This is getting far more ridiculous now, and I don't appreciate being accused like this. We can see that James really only thinks for what he believes to be true, and what he sees before his eyes with no real understanding or wherewithal for Claire, and what might be happening deeper in her and other psyches. Corresponding with this chain of events, James's DMs often pander to Dear when directly speaking to him, yet would be confrontational and spiteful when not actually speaking to him. His opinion would fluctuate depending on the person and his mood at the time. Heyo, I noticed we're both in the same server, Chickpea, but nice to meet you. I hope you're not annoyed by my friend requests, haha. I don't really have much friends to interact with, so I'm trying to make new ones. Ah, well, spamming someone with friend requests on their birthday when you haven't met them is usually a bad way to meet them, and I know you haven't seen me talk in there recently because I barely do. I'm just saying it's suspicious. Bot behavior, if you will. Alright, my bad. I'm sorry. I hope there's no hard feelings. I also noticed you have a Chainsaw Man profile picture and thought it looked cool. I'm a fan too, though. I mostly keep up with the anime, but I have been getting into the manga as of late. I see. Well, I don't take offense, but it's suspicious. I also know who you are, my guy. We don't have much in common. Games and manga especially, having one ain't gonna cut it. Alright. Is there any chance of us ever getting to talk in a call? I don't mind chatting in a call. Again, I don't think we'll have anything in common, so I don't want to force it. When indirectly talking to Deer, like after they blocked him, this is what he had to say. The fact that you had to go to such lengths and straight up block is honestly pathetic. You're upset with me? You guys should be ashamed of yourselves for how you think you know me based on whatever Claire has told you. You dudes, you and Kosi at least, are nothing but manipulative losers who have nothing better to do than stick your nose in people's businesses and act like you know everything about me. You don't know me. You're absolutely full of it if you think you do. Yeah, I'm pretty pissed off, but honestly, maybe it's good that people like you show your true colors. Also, I bet you probably develop feelings for her in some way too, so be careful if you date her. She'll do the same thing to you, bud, and she will use you. I personally believe Deer to be the most responsible figure in this situation, because of their more unbiased nature and decision to block James early into his onslaught of manic messaging. I'll credit to James on one front. Claire definitely was unfaithful. However, at that point, she had already attempted to leave allegedly, and James weaseled his way back every time. These messages are degenerate sex stuff for sure. However, I think we need to take a step back to reality here and realize this is all e-dating. 11-inch Kosi isn't over there having intercourse with Claire right then and there. It was flirting over Discord. And if that's what you call cheating that requires harassing an entire group of people in attempts to manipulate them, you need to hop right into the psych ward. This isn't even mentioning that if we believe what James's sister said to be true, he was cheating on Claire physically with his own sister. The most deranged DM conversation, if you even call a one-sided onslaught of paranoid, confrontational messages a conversation, is without a doubt the one James started with Kosi themselves. As his final entourage, he calls Kosi a womanizer. Ah yes, the finest of Giga Ultra Riz womanizers are all roaming Discord servers. Yo, what's good, man? Hopefully this isn't a bad time for introductions, haha. Hey, I know we don't message much, forgive me for the inconvenience, but what's this I'm hearing that you and Claire have been messing around? Care to explain about this, or is Claire lying to me? Well, guess the truth is out. Claire snitched you out and also blames you, so she's throwing you under the bus. I know about your guys' little flirty chat, so I hope you two are very proud of yourselves. Her actions aren't an isolated incident either, and I only forgave her because I wanted her to be better. However, I guess in your guys' eyes, you still think I'm some sort of big bad guy, don't you? Based off on, you might have heard from Claire, but be careful, she's a very good liar and will continue to act shady around you guys, or just you in general. I gave her a lot of things and everything. She used me and goes behind my back to get some sort of sick validation from her guy friends. It's a real shame that this shit has happened. Oh, and before you act innocent about it and pretend you don't know what I'm talking about, I have actual evidence of this shit. Thank you for reminding me just how much I want to off myself. Speak up. Tell me why. Any chance for you to say anything, or are you just going to continue to ignore me like a spineless fool? I know it was an old screenshot, but I also found ones that were recent. Anybody home? Is this you? How would you rate this epic gnarly meme on a scale of 1 to 10? So now you got Claire to do everything under your thumb now. Thanks a bunch. Well, it was nice knowing ya. Y'all are a bunch of simpletons. Speak up, dude. You're really testing my patience. You've been filling Claire's head with a bunch of lies about me. I know about that storytime video that you tried to show her, and from what Claire told me, she said to you that it's not true, unless she's lying to me about that as well. How low do you have to sink? Manipulating her into believing whatever you've been telling her? How does it feel to manipulate a woman with autism for years while she was with someone? 30 years old and you're still messing around being a home wrecker. Honestly, grow the up. And don't be saying that I've been threatening you. I'm literally the most harmless person you have ever met. Believe me, I could have said far more worse things, fella. Also, the guy that essayed his sister just couldn't hurt a fly, but... Claire also told me that you two have been getting your kicks off for a good long while. Just right after I caught her with another man, her second time by the way, you knew goddamn well what you were doing, yet you never stopped that Claire. You never respected me because you're a coward and you never liked me to begin with. You are a womanizer, and I despise people like you who go after someone's body like this. And you should be ashamed of yourself. You really want to be with someone who is never going to be doing this shit behind your back and share herself to plenty of other guys? Hey, it's gonna happen. Despite what Claire said that she'll never do that again, she's a pathological liar. I know that she's going around telling everyone that she's not in a relationship, but since she's a proven liar, you guys could very well be hiding it from everyone else, and you guys are dating. It was very obvious that you were trying to ruin this relationship with whatever you can warp her mind, and now you probably told her to do whatever it is you want her to do. You couldn't even speak up for when you got caught. What a bunch of bullshit. And now you got one of your friends to come after me and make a bunch of threats of how I shouldn't try to reach out to any of you or to Claire, or else he'll take this public? So yeah, there's that looming over your guys' head. You couldn't even have the guts or the balls to even respond to me, and yet you played and ignored me like I'm some bitch. Speak up. It is very ironic that James speaks as if he's an MMA Muay Thai professional fighter in this message, talking about speaking up and being a bitch. Yep, I'm sure the guy that makes YouTube animations, E-Dates, and his kid's sister is really the guy that's just tough in real life and is gonna beat the bricks off someone. Bizarre Joe was definitely the most welcoming conversation of them all. Joe initially points out that if James was fulfilling her emotional needs, this cheating would have never happened. Personally, it's true to a certain extent, but in some cases, people cheat for the sake of it, and from an outsider perspective, it sounds like Claire was done with James a long time prior. James goes to send an absolute bible of text regarding practically inconsequential situations, leveraging Claire feeling suicidal due to his possessive nature to label her as a narcissist and a manipulator, which is somewhat hypocritical as he tells Kosi he's quote-unquote giving me another reason to off myself. Over a few other DMs with others, he stresses the need for privacy in the situation, that it cannot go public or to more of Claire's friends. At this point, James has become deranged, manically messaging every person in loose association with Claire, Kosi, or Deer. While Claire may have cheated, honing in on that and not looking at the bigger picture, that she has tried to leave you on many occasions with you working your way back or manipulating her back into a relationship, it is clear that she has been done with you for a long time coming. Attempting to manipulate her friends and friends of her friends to be on your side so you can leverage it to get those with her against her is blatantly disgusting and honestly serves no purpose other than to try and ruin Claire. But at this point, it was officially over. James could continue messaging, but him and Claire were done for good. He would fizzle out at some point and just leave them alone. Or so you would think.
Chick from Michelle with Glenn.
You were supposed to condemn him.
What?
To start off, you are about to be exposed to something extremely degenerate. Be warned going into this next visual, as it is explicit and sexually suggestive in nature. It is also genuinely disgusting for what it represents, how James is twisting the narrative, and how embarrassing his derangement has blatantly become. The first image depicts Claire being in a call with the Kosi friend group, or the people that she was cheating on James with, and shows James sending her a message. The dialogue is as follows. Hi hun, I'm back. I missed you lots and lots and lots and... Sorry boys, my annoying loser boyfriend is calling me. Aw man, leave that incel already lol. Don't invite that stupid Indian boy. What? F*** him. Show me your boobs. Don't worry, I'll just join back soon after, okay? Yes please queen. I'll send you a pic to you soon, Snowbunny. Tell him to kill himself. I love you. The drawing then shows Claire turning to James, figuratively entering their chat, and then turning away saying, Jesus, I regret ever knowing him. Loser. Who would love him? The second image displays how James would perceive Claire's messaging. The dialogue is as follows. I love you so much, Claire. Pathetic. My life is not normal and it's all your fault. You deserve someone better than me. Later. Oh. Hi boys, I'm back. That crybaby James is out now, so I'm free. Yeah, f*** him. Did you see my text? Did he cry? Lol, not manly enough for you. The third image is as follows. I'm not obsessed, I just really missed you and got worried about you. I'm not dating anyone anymore. I don't want to be in any relationship ever again. I'm not talking to anyone right now. Poor crybaby James. If only he knew that I'm seeing another man who is more successful than James. What a sad loser. The words written on Claire, meant to be her inner thoughts and perceptions, are this. I listen to others. Liar. Lol, that loser. Love me. I want to have a muscular man. Victim mentality. James made me this way. Breed me. Yes, I want to be f***ed. I heart Deer. I heart Ick. I heart Kosi. James sucks. I want that kind of attention from other men. F*** James. Then surrounding Claire are a few penises. Finally, James depicts what he believes Claire's real intentions and thoughts behind his back to be. Hi dear, I dumped him just like you told me to. You are so much better than him. Hey boys, wanna see my nice set of boobs? My Sona is hot, and I know you artists lust over me, so here's the real deal. Show us already. Glad you dumped that loser. Sure you lied and hid stuff from him, but he's not worth it, Snow Bunny. Yes, show us. James just died, but who cares, lol. Yes, James is a loser. You guessed it, these images are drawings made by none other than James himself. They are his perception of how the situation has unfolded. He is the sweet, caring, loving boyfriend, while she is the devilish, cheating witch that is two-faced as well as a liar. This is genuine derangement, and is so black and white when it comes to their emotions and conversations, even an outsider wouldn't portray it in a way that is so cut and clean, when this is much more of a complex situation. The way James sexualizes Claire continually is a representation that he does not view Claire as a real person, just something to control. This also correlates with the fact that she is totally one-faceted with the way she speaks with James and the others in this drawing. Looking even at the quotations and stuff written on her, you can tell James has been deluded into believing that this is the genuine truth. I personally believe at this point, James has devolved to genuinely thinking the world is against him, and his perception of events is reality. This derangement continually gets worse with the creation of the account You Know Kosi, publicly demonstrating the cheating done by Claire with Kosi. It's blatantly obvious this account was created by James, just judging from the tweets alone. Wow, she's really showing it off to him. I wish I was lucky enough though, damn you. But at the same time, James Bear, huh? I guess NTR is the way to go for this gal. Cuties, poor little James Bear, the cuck boy. It's a shame that his girlfriend is hitting on someone better than that sad, retarded excuse of a man. Cheating always wins. It is hot, and you know Clarissa is into that stuff? My kind of girl right there. Ooh, looks like someone isn't getting some satisfaction from Mr. Minuscule Limp McGee. You must be hung to capture a thirsty girl like that. The ever so innocent you know Clarissa must be desperate for something bigger than my man and Kosi, huh? You're so spicy, Clarissa. Can you cosplay for me too, Clarissa? It's finally time for an OnlyFans, right guys? She def gained newfound respect for NTRing that nonce, and she must be the real deal if she thinks she's going around like this. You guys think I might have a chance? Let's have an NTR party. Their little secret relationship lasted nearly 2 years, it seems. James Bear did not know until she broke up with him recently. She's falling for someone else, and it's no surprise who it is. This isn't her first time doing NTR behind James's back. She's such a woman. She's been going around and acting flirty with other artists behind James's back. You know Clarissa definitely loves hurting that bastard James Bear, and I love it. I wish he could have done that with me. I'd treat her much more better than James. His heart must be so broken. You know Clarissa fan art time. Also hope Kosi loves this too. God, I really love NTR. Kosi and I have been really going at it behind James's back. But don't tell, hee hee. I dumped that cuck over Kosi because he's more hung and famous. OMG, I feel so embarrassed. NTR Queen. Must NTR. For those unaware, the term NTR is short for Neto Rare, a term particularly used to demonstrate unfaithfulness or cheating in a relationship. Neto Rare is also loosely translated into the word cuckold, so I think that tells you everything you need to know. But this Twitter account in general, it's very sad. Frankly, that's all I can say. This is where the initial document ends, but there have been a few updates all the way up to March of this year. Throughout the entire month of February, he continued to communicate his struggles with unsuspecting Twitter artists through his The Fool account. An account by the name of Ringo popped up around early March, which continually reposted a thread that made how Claire is a serial cheater the primary focus. This account is assumed to be James as well, because who in their right mind would actually defend James on the front of his sister, saying that she pushed a narrative as if there was any more narrative to push in that situation. Not only this, the account claims Claire was the real emotional abuser. March 6th, James is spotted active on his main account, interacting with the Ringo thread, as well as DMing other artists on Twitter to further push the thread. Finally, on the 9th of March, Ringo accused Claire of suiciding before locking their account. Ringo is still locked to this very day, concluding this document. During the making of this video, on the 8th of July 2024, James has uploaded a new response to the entire situation, one that features none other than his sister herself. I will play clips, however, to summarize the video in short, James comes onto the video initially and lightly summarizes the previous events, albeit vaguely, before bringing his sister onto the stand herself. Alicia digresses into what really happened, again, albeit vaguely. She mentions that everything in the document she had posted in 2023 was entirely fabricated, saying that the timeline and other factors were all just made up, and that there was no sexual activity between her and James whatsoever. She claims that the entire thing was a cash grab so that she could move out and be more independent. That when James made his final response, she offered to help clear his name, yet James decided to take all the blame himself. She said she overreacted, and that what didn't help was Captain Hugo, as well as others being untrustworthy and disingenuous when reaching out to her. She takes full responsibility for the situation and wants things to go back to normal.
Speak on behalf of that.
This is Alicia speaking, or in other words, this is his sister speaking, and what my brother James is saying is true. First, I would like to give my deepest apology to everyone for spreading misinformation about my brother and about my own family. Truth be told, that I only came forward because I was only upset, and my reasons for being upset were petty, and I had a falling out with a friend. People who claimed they had their best interests never really cared, which resulted in me giving them very personal information and having the police come over to our family's house yet again. My actions were completely reckless, and I didn't mean to put my family in danger like that. For years, I was always aware about the drama online towards my brother, and admittedly, I knew from the beginning that he was innocent, and unfortunately, I adopted this false history that the internet made about us, and I felt like I had more to gain by simply accepting it. So with that in mind, I jumped the gun with a post that not only destroyed what little bit of reputation my brother had left, but nearly ruined my family from within, thanks to the negative influence of internet drama. Second, the document itself was entirely fabricated. There were a lot of things wrong with the document itself, including the events and timeline, the name calling, my unprofessionalism, and the amount of times I plastered my Ko-Fi link on a lot of things, including my tweets and people behind the scenes. My motivation behind that Ko-Fi page was to move out and be more independent with my life, instead of being at home all the time. Our parents were completely upset when they found out what was going on, and rightfully so. I wasn't thinking straight, and I made a huge mistake when posting all of that. I even did the same exact thing back in late September 2023 when James was out helping out my family with our brother for his dentist appointment, and about a day later, my family only found out about the call-up a day after they came home. But with the incident back in January, I had no idea what I got myself into. I didn't actually think my post would have blown up the way it did, and didn't expect people to believe any of the things that were being said. I truly regret ever getting involved with any of this, and I only wish that things would go back to normal. Back in 2022, when James was making his last fake response on the whole situation, I was actually going to help clear his name back then, but he insisted that he would do all of this on his own since he didn't want me or any more of his family members to be involved after the drama, and especially the Dawson situation in 2017. And yet this was the result of that. He basically took the blame for nothing. Even after all this time, it was never easy for him to admit that nothing happened between us, when truly he was innocent for the most part. Lastly, I want people to know that my family is not silencing me in any way. I overreacted when the police got involved for the second time, and after I posted my vague response, someone spread a rumor about how I was being silenced. It most likely stemmed from a group that I was giving out personal information to, or someone close. So whoever is doing that, please stop it. Speaking of, some of the individuals who won't be name dropped here are not to be trusted at all. These were people who didn't have their best intentions in mind when they approached me. They intentionally weaponized the whole situation to cover up their own hidden agenda against my brother through manipulative tactics and any illegal means. Right now, all I really want from all of this is for things to go back to normal, move on, and hope all of this would be the end of it for good. So to cap it all off, I take full responsibility for my actions, and again, I'm so deeply sorry to everyone who has witnessed all of this. Please forgive not only myself.
When I watched this video, it felt like it was almost AI generated. It displayed how shallow the thought process throughout the making of that video was. It is clear Alicia is reading off of a script. Not all bad, but then you start to connect the dots that a lot of the things mentioned in this script were corroborating what James had used to defend himself earlier on. claiming that nothing happened is a complete contradiction to what both of them had been pushing for years, up until James's first response, where he claims that the message was a social experiment and to test that one friend. What I don't understand at this point is James's initial response, where he openly admits to it happening again. He can't even claim he was just going with what was being pushed online at the time, as the response came before the Lalo Does Art thread and its vast popularity. Alicia claiming that nothing happened is in line with what James has said previously, although this is just being a speculation. Saying that nothing happened is also the solution that people who don't comprehend internet archives or documentation would give, such as a parent or family member, which leads to a speculation that the family may be more involved in this video than initially made to believe. However, that is just speculation, but I let the video and its contradictions speak for itself. This video is not the only new media posted by James, as he has made a behemoth of a document regarding the Yuno Kosi / Captain Hugo situation. I need to preface this document heavily, so bear with me. For one, I've been in contact with Captain Hugo regarding this document and most recent response, and will be digressing into some of these parts using knowledge from our DMs. The key points and general idea of these DMs will be shared after this summary, so keep that in the back of your head. Secondly, there are going to be cuts in this document, as not all of it is actually integral to James's point, things we have already seen, or just genuine nothing burgers of text. I will link you this document in the description, and if this video hasn't already been enough information for your brain, then give it a read. Firstly, James provides a recounting of the story of Claire cheating with and she's NTRing James with others in this server. Keep this accusation in the back of your mind, it will prove somewhat necessary later. James and Clarissa would break up on the 26th of December 2023. January 2024, James calls Clarissa, hysterical, begging her to show DMs between her and Deer. These DMs basically consist of Deer giving her advice on her situation. Clarissa deliberately leaves a part about her thoughts out of the conversation. James chalks this up to her omitting the suicide baiting. Hey James, maybe, just maybe, she doesn't go around willy-nilly telling people she's or is selective with who she trusts with that info. Just a thought though. Finally, James bluffs her into showing her unfaithful messages with Kosi, threatening to tell her family about it. We've already covered these messages in this video, and we know what I think about them. It's funny James is so willing to admit he threatened her into showing these DMs, leveraging his connections to get stuff out of her. After a heated argument, James says that he was awoken to being blocked on everything by Claire. When seeking out clarity from Kosi's friends, well, as we saw, it did not go well. James goes on to speak about another instance of Claire quote-unquote flirting around. Claire told another user about the argument. James doesn't even try to disprove the story in this document, and just speculates her friends helped her write it. If anything, he verifies it by saying, "When reading these screenshots, I began to feel awful for stooping so low like that, but I realized soon after that we both wouldn't be in the situation if not for the fact that Claire lied." Fast forward to February 5th, Hugo would post the document. James accuses this document of being intentionally misleading and never really revealed what Claire really did. James does not elaborate on this point and does not provide any explanation or evidence as to why. About the 100th instance of James being vague in this entire video. He claims that Hugo doxed his private Discord accounts, which, tell me you just want to discredit the person instead of the argument/document itself. Tu quo fallacy, my friend. Another piece to keep in the back of your head, I know, a lot right, is the fact that James claims that Hugo tried to reach out to his sister in attempts to further weaponize the situation. James then shows a DM between Hugo and another user regarding the Ringo thread, in which Hugo says he didn't read it. The other user encourages him to, implying there is some real evidence in the thread that is noteworthy, yet doesn't explicitly tell Hugo what, just tells him to go read it. While I do think that this user is in the right for wanting Hugo to read the thread itself, it would not have been half as difficult to just tell Hugo what was in it and what he found compelling. Instead, causing a big argument which just divides into subsections of different topics is what the conversation resulted in. What adds to this conversation is the fact that the user, Snubby King, had great contact with James, with their messages discussing James being their inspiration, etc. Another great piece to this is that James left out a piece of their conversation, one where Snubby King not only implies, but directly states that the donation money for James' sister was used for PC parts. The suspected motive for the removal of the conversation is that it wouldn't line up with James' news story that the money was used for Alicia to be more independent and move out, not PC parts. Snubby even told Hugo that they had cut contact, but after being reached out to by none other than James himself, Hugo speculates that they were certainly still in contact, judging from a certain someone. Finally, James concludes in the document telling people to be aware of all the users mentioned on this list. How long before my name's up there, am I right? The ending paragraph of this document reads, I haven't spoken to Claire in the last 6 months, so I have no clue what she's up to. But despite my feelings of betrayal, anger, and complete sadness, I still get concerned over her well-being. If she felt blackmailed or anything by what Kosi sent, she could have said something to me, instead of just lying, but I realized that I was only trying to find ways to think that she's the victim. She's not. I wish I had the closure I needed, but I realized that she's her own person. She decides what she wants to do, and I can no longer look out for her if this is the path she chooses. This will be my form of closure, and I need to remove myself from such a turbulent situation that has me left feeling isolated, depressed, and suicidal from a bunch of irresponsible adults who are way older than me. I don't really have any closing thoughts about all of this. The only thing I could do is say I'm sorry to everyone who had to see all of this, who were concerned about me or thought I died. I'll say the same thing that I have said before in my response video. Please be more responsible with the information that you give or get from certain people, especially from those listed above, and take into consideration that we're all human beings, not fictional beings. After this, I'm choosing not to get involved. I can only suspect that these people will try to make some sort of rebuttal, and honestly, it'll only make them look worse. I already had a rough time mentally while trying to move forward, and I couldn't do that without giving my word on the matter. Going forward, I would ideally like to handle this privately, at the very least, but I know there are going to be people who are going to find ways to vilify me. It's always been that way, and I'd rather not deal with it anymore. That's really all I have to say. Thanks for reading, and please take care. How poetic. A lot of this document was a nothing burger, consisting of filler of Clarissa quote-unquote cheating. But now, for the real interesting part, my conversation with Hugo. When James first released this document and video, it really gave me a reason to reach out to Hugo, something I'd been wanting to do since I first started writing this video. Firstly, Hugo and I discussed James's response video, which includes his sister. Hey there, I've recently been working on a video regarding the James Bear story. Not only has your document been useful, but also integral to the telling of his story. On that front, with the publication of James's newest response, is there any elaboration on the implication from James's sister that you and the others in the document were untrustworthy/disingenuous? Any word on this matter would be greatly appreciated. All I will say for now is it seems very likely from the circumstances that James's sister is being forced to say that by her family. Like, her tone in the video is so monotone, it's bordering on AI. She's clearly reading off something James wrote for her. I also speculated as such. The vagueness of what she is saying is also another factor in this. She doesn't specify what she was lying about in the previous document, and most of what she says are blanket statements, as if they were written from an outsider perspective. I personally am confused on why James would even post this, as it does not really make him look any better because of the lack of detail. Thank you for your response. This guy gets more deranged by the day. Also, his sister says in the video that nothing happened between them, which directly contradicts what he said in the past. Yes, if I remember correctly, he tried to imply that the message sent in 2016 from the Lalo document was a social experiment. What sense would it make for not just James's sister, but also James himself, to even bring it up in the first place and run with the narrative that things did happen for so many years, for it all now to be just nothing? I'm assuming their family has no comprehension of how documentation on the internet works, and believe that saying nothing happened would be good enough of a cop-out to generally absolve their situation for good. That is just speculation, to be fair, but this video is very contradictory and hard to believe. Yeah, I talked with the other people mentioned in the doc, and we don't even think it's worth responding to it. If you don't mind, he has posted the document himself. I'm gonna give it a read and come back with a... Okay, sure. I read the document a few times before organizing my thoughts and think 7 or 8 questions, and these were his responses. To preface, at this point in my video, I have already established that Claire was unfaithful. However, I see it as a point of she was done with James a while before she cheated, and each time he'd weasel his way back into a relationship, the cheating was just an out for Claire. Before I move forward, I just want to make sure that assumption is correct or possible to a certain extent. For starters, Claire didn't consider it cheating because they had never met in real life. James never made an effort to visit her in the US or bring her to Canada to meet him. And even if they had, she tried to leave him multiple times, and each time he had manipulated her to stay. It wasn't cheating, it was his narcissism not letting him see that she didn't want to be with him, and that was something she already told him multiple times. I'm aware to a certain extent you weren't in every call in said Discord server, however, are you aware of any plotting or shit-talking from any of the people seen in the calls, for example, Kosi or Deer? From what I can tell, there isn't any. There was not any plotting or stalking or anything of the sort in the voice chat. From speaking with other people, it's clear they just simply meet there every night to talk about cartoons, or porn, or both, and they just shoot the shit as they work. The only times they talk about James or Claire was when she was literally saying she wanted to leave him, or that she needed help moving on, or finding distractions to stop thinking about the whole situation. They would also avoid talking about James when it wasn't necessary, even pulling new people in the VC aside to tell them not to speak about James or the whole drama around them, just so Claire wouldn't have to think about it. If you are aware, what does that role, the one with the skull emoji and shooting star emojis, entail? James seems to think it means NTR, but I find that hard to believe. The skull emoji and shooting star role is simply for a Star Cuck Discord channel. Content about Star Butterfly from Star vs. the Forces of Evil getting cucked by other characters of the show. It exists literally just because Kosi finds it funny. I don't understand why he would think the role relates to him anyway. Wouldn't have a bear or a brush if it was about an artist? And attached to this message, Hugo sends me this. What the Bro, Kosi's a funny motherfucker. On your perspective from what Claire told you, what was your brief and general thought process of the dynamic of their relationship? I.e., was James emotionally abusive, and why? Regarding James and Claire's relationship, there are several instances where James is demanding of Claire's time and berates her for not telling him where she is. Screenshots that James obviously left out, including several times when James would type aggressively towards her for not answering quick enough, which is clearly abuser behavior. He had a very hard time taking no for an answer. A lot of what he did is abusive behavior, like straight up not caring or paying attention to what she said. If she told him that she wasn't going to be around, he would complain to her later on when he expected her to be. And if anything didn't go his way, he would try his best to gaslight her and make her think it was her fault. The messages between you and another user, you read the Ringo thread to respond to it in your document, yes? In that same messaging, you refer to conveniently censored evidence of Claire being unfaithful. Is that also regarding the Kosi DMs, or just the ones you mentioned in that convo specifically? There was no real Ringo doc, just a Twitter account posting screenshots which I already archived in an update to the Claire doc. The conveniently censored evidence was the one I mentioned in the convo specifically. What happened in the conversation with you and James's sister? As for the convo between me and James's sister, it would probably be best if I posted the full DMs. I don't have her Twitter DMs because she deleted her account, but basically it was saying that I shouldn't interact with her publicly as James and his family were monitoring her online posts carefully now. Also, to not update the Claire doc anymore, but nothing major after the Ringo stuff had taken place, so it wasn't necessary to update it anyway. Hello, this is Hugo. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help with your situation. Well, I need to lay low until I'm somewhere safe because my mom and my brother are actively trying to silence me, that they want me to refund all the money I was given and make a statement that I lied about the abuse. I see, so you're worried that another public post about your situation would just lead to a bad fallout from your mom and brother? Can I ask a question about your Instagram account? Sure. I received some DMs from Claire about an Instagram account claiming to be you that seems like it may be an alt from James. Can you confirm if this used to be your account, or if it's indeed completely fake? Yeah, that's my sister, but I'd rather not have her account be shown. Oh, so James has two sisters. Yeah, I don't want her being involved in this mess since she's against me. Understandable. So leave her out of this. Will do. Did you read the doc I posted about James' harassment of Claire? I saw. I started writing it before your doc was made public, so I put a link to it near the beginning. I posted the doc on Twitter in September 2023, however I had to delete it. Your doc still appears to be accessible. Yeah, but I meant on Twitter. What led me to writing that doc was that I was fed up with my home life and I was already beefing with some big Madcom artist about one of their artwork that I thought was incestuous. I see, so that led you to come forward and fully expose James. Yeah, and I did it again after feeling like shit for my friend abandoning me. Okay, is there anything I could do to help you out? I'm trying to think of stuff that wouldn't draw attention from your family. I do have one request, but I'm willing to hear anything out. Nothing serious, but I want some people within the Madcom community to draw my OC with the main four while wishing me the best or something. By Madcom, you mean Madness Combat, right? Yeah. Alright, I'll see what I can talk to you about that. Thank you. I need it for comfort. Completely understandable. Do you have a ref of your OC? Yeah, this one somewhat. Fun fact, I shared my OC with Hank, cause yeah. I think my iPad got taken again. Oh no. I can't seem to find it. That bastard. I'm sorry to hear that. He took my iPad from me last week for several days. By the way, if you were to inform people about the comfort art, refer to me by name. So, say it's for Alicia? Yeah, will do. Forgot to mention, but my sister has threatened to hurt me before, and I'd rather keep it between us, and she's siding with him. I saw, don't worry. Help, I'm being silenced. They're taking away my internet, and my mom won't believe me. Oh shit, get someone from my province to pick me up, now. Okay, I'll see what I can do. What's your province? Alright, let me ask some people. Do you want me to post publicly about this to raise awareness? Okay, I don't know. This is where I live. Get someone to pick me up. It's just that I don't know anyone off the top of my head who lives in that province, and I wouldn't know where to start looking. Just ask, and share my location if you can find someone, please. But not make a public post about it. Be vague, okay? Apparently this person can help you. So, now what? Also, James is trying to expose me for grooming a minor, even though that minor lied about their age, and I have evidence to back it up. Wait, where is he doing that? I don't know, but he's been telling me. What the hell? I'm scared. Okay, what evidence do you have? Alright, I'll post these if I see anyone trying to claim lies about you. When they do, but not now. Yeah, I doubt anyone will believe him over you anyway, especially now. Alright, I was told that someone is helping organize a police visit. Is that going well? I'm still waiting for them to show up, and I'm feeling lightheaded and sick. I promise you this will turn out all fine. But I'm scared. We're all here for you. Everyone saw your doc and knows that your story is on your side. How did it go? I don't want to be involved in this anymore, and please don't tell anyone. I had a talk with the police about my mistreatment, and they were siding with my family. That my family were only trying to help me, and you know who is good at manipulating others. Oh, I see. And was that the RCMP that came? I'm such a failure, man. How can anyone believe them over me? Now people online are going to think I lied. Yeah. I promise you nobody online will think you lied. Your family are just doing what James was already doing online and trying to push their own narrative while disregarding your evidence. I was forced to delete the tweets too, and that bastard recording me deleting it just so people wouldn't think I was being forced to. For my safety, don't talk about this to anyone. I can't have my devices being taken away again. Okay, I will keep this private. If you see my apology, don't say anything about it. Hugo left me with one final piece of information. Oh, and something important to bring up is that apparently James's family relies on the ad revenue from his videos for income, so that's why they're all forcing his sister to keep quiet about this and post apologies. It really does come full circle. Despite what James and his sister quote-unquote said in the most recent video, these DMs paint a vastly different picture of how Alicia felt in the moment. At first, it was just others rumoring that she was being silenced by her family, but now there is a certain level of confirmation. I was even skeptical that she was being coerced into reading that script on James's most recent video, but unless she's had a total change of heart, my skepticism has started to fade. My worry, on the other hand, has spiked up. These DMs certainly paint a picture of a poor living situation for Alicia, and I can only hope with the forthcoming of new evidence she can get the help she needs. The amount of vagueness and lack of detail in this situation was genuinely mind-boggling. The trouble I had to go through to piece together the timeline with scotch tape and toothpicks, well, it was certainly an experience to say the least. James left a lot of evidence out of his situation, as well as context, referring back to the idea of vagueness amongst creators responding to controversy for damage control. You can ask Hugo, I genuinely did not think it went this deep. Less a rabbit hole, but moreover a strung together mess. James constructed a shallow, vague, awful video to post which proved nothing for his case after a year of public inactivity. The sake of that video was for his sister to save face for him, which after these DMs and the vagueness of the video in general, it has failed miserably. The document serves to show that Clarissa was a cheater, something that had already been established by those with critical thinking skills, and really just served to try and ruin her character while elevating his and discrediting his detractors. To conclude this section of the video, I thank you. Not just the viewer, I thank James for making my job a lot harder, and Hugo for making my job oh so easier. Alright, let's do this one last time. During the making of this video, on July 13th, 2024, James uploaded another thread yet again. James starts the thread of dispelling the accusation of AI usage on his sister in the most recent video. I did say it was borderline AI, however, that was more a play on how monotone his sister sounded. As for that monotone nature, James excuses it for the fact that she didn't want to admit that the funds from the Ko-fi were used for PC parts. Wait, Salty, didn't you say that James just said that Alicia wanted to move out to be more independent? What was she trying to use the funds for? Well, here's another change in the story. Couldn't even last a day without changing it. Again. They explicitly stated that the funds were used for moving out independently, not PC parts. Why lie if you're even gonna have proof of you guys making a PC together? This leaves me with one of three options. The funds were actually used to build a PC. They built a PC together and lied in the video for no particular reason than just to confuse the audience. On the other hand, we have the possibility that James is lying about the PC, that the PC really isn't his sister's, that they did not build it together, and what they said in the video is true. Or none of it is true at all. After a bit of genuine just yapping, James goes on to discuss Hugo and a message where Hugo was contacted by a user on a burner account. They were being very suspect, so Hugo called them out as if they were a friend, in contact, or were just James themselves. When Hugo references that they are going to post a document onto their larger 300,000 follower Twitter account, James Bear genuinely believes that this is an abuse of power. We then scroll down and James has posted a video. Now the significance of this video is a lot more than it may seem on the surface, as this is the exact same video that Ringo used on their thread regarding Claire and the entire cheating situation, leading me and Hugo to believe that there is a closer connection between the two than James would let on. Credit to Hugo for this observation. James essentially construes for the rest of the thread that not only were his responses just quote-unquote PR responses, but he was also just told by others to do them, and that it would get him out of a situation easily. Yes, he's pointing the finger yet again. Who's in your PR team, James? James then claims that nothing really actually happened, and they were just awkward implications. What really happened was just some cuddling. Are you serious, my brother? Another underlying factor that makes me very skeptical is the fact that James's sister is just totally okay with this entire situation and genuinely thinks that nothing happened, contradicting what they posted shortly after James released the Our Final Response video with her featuring in it. Alicia posted an Instagram story that read, "The AAHW forced me to. If you know, you know," a reference to Madness Combat. Allegedly, Alicia had been posting about their abusive living partner for quite a long time, and at one point even posted a PayPal link saying that James was going to force her into saying nothing happened. As for the incestuous situation, it's honestly James and his sister's word, with an asterisk, now versus James and his sister's word then. We have gone from it happened multiple times over 3 years, to it happening once, to it never even happening at all. James has tried to excuse this with coincidences and conveniently sly responses, saying it was all PR responses and that his sister is a malicious scam artist. However, her silent cries for help paint a much different picture. The aforementioned grooming allegation against Alicia has been brought up again, probably much to James's liking. Another story has surfaced, however there is not a lot of evidence, and it is mostly a he said she said for the time being. I'll link it in the description. It's ironic that as soon as James makes a new response trying to discredit his sister and detractors, people come out with this and make him look a lot better. One of the allegations has already been partially disproven, and the other is a he said she said, but I won't make any definitive statements on that front for the time being. As for that though, I will say no matter what his sister has done, it does not change what James has done and has continually denied. This has been a frustrating 48 hours. I have had to go back and change this video twice due to James, just for both of his responses to be as lackluster and unthought-provoking as ever. Do better. James was a YouTube animator loved by hundreds of thousands. He could not escape his past, he could not control his present, which led to this being his future. James will continue to lurk on the internet on his accounts, not posting and just observing his surroundings, waiting for a chance to creep back into everybody's lives. His derangement has led to a point where he cannot publicly communicate more than changing his profile picture from black to white. Rightfully so. I believe James Bear is the perfect demonstration of how internet culture has fostered mentally unwell people and turned them into psychopathic nutjobs that cannot function socially. The story of James is one that is actually quite depressing, yet disturbing. Watching it all fall and his behavior is sad, but when you find out why, you feel all the possible sympathy leave your body within a second. This video has covered the degeneracy of incest, the dishonesty of internet responses, and the derangement of its aftermath. With all of that being said, I've been salty, continually disturbed. Signing off. Jeez, that was fucking bad, man.
Baby, cut me, don't hurt me. Break my fucking ribs and give me wings like you're a fly.